live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show.
Welcome to the FTN Bets Cast for Tuesday, June 28th here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and now you can win on Sleeper by playing in their new over-under game. It's super easy to play. So first, in any sport, you're going to choose two or more players that you like and just pick whether they're going to go over or under their listed total. So for example, tonight in baseball could be something like the number of hits, the number of runs scored, maybe the number of strikeouts that a pitcher is going to have. Then you're going to choose an amount of money you want to enter into the contest. And if you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times your money all the way up to 20 times your money if you go 5 out of 5 and get them all correct. But the main reason why I'm excited about this over-under game on Sleeper, it's the only app where I can join in with my buddies contest and we could all play together. It has a built-in group chat where I can see what you're playing, you can see and copy what I'm playing, and we could all see and copy what the guy who's won 3 days in a row in our group is playing. And it's insanely fun when everybody is riding it out together. So stop what you're doing now and download the Sleeper app to play in their new over-under game. Have some fun with your friends and make a little money in the process. On your mobile phone, you can join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/FTNbets, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Again, go down to the description in this podcast, sleeper.com/FTNbets, and you get that $100 match on your first deposit. There are terms and conditions that apply, so see Sleeper's terms of use for those details. Today, we have a massive 15-game MLB slate. There's actually 16 games because there's a doubleheader between the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians, day-night doubleheader here today. I did skip that game when we were talking about the late game stuff, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Whenever you have a day-night doubleheader, as you know, you're obviously going to have lesser lineups in both legs of that, right? Because the team is not going to make all their normal starters play 2 full games in one day. So they give a couple guys a rest in one game, they give a couple guys a rest in the other game. And the reason why I don't want to play any of those guys is because we don't know who's going to be resting in one game or resting in the other game. I mean, I'm doing this very early in the morning here on Tuesday. So, once you get the information about the first game, then you can kind of make some decisions on the second game, whether they're running out their normal lineup in one game and then a backup lineup in another, or if they're going to mix and match. And it's also for the pitchers something else, because the pitchers are not facing the A+ lineup that these teams have. They may be facing 2 like B+ lineups or a B or an A lineup and a B- lineup in order to have the 2 games in one day. So until we actually see the lineups, it's really tough to talk about those games where there's double headers. So I kind of avoided them today. I just want you guys to know there is a Minnesota-Cleveland game. You may see it and wonder why Benny didn't mention it. That's the reason why Benny didn't mention it. And I just wanted to throw that out there right at the beginning so everybody kind of understands my thought process on it. So anyway, as you guys know, what we're going to do here is we're going to run through all the games on today's slate. We're going to take a look at the money lines for them. We're going to take a look at any player prop bets that pop up, whether it be player prop bets we want to take on some of the sports books or some of the ones that we want to use in our tournament plays over on Sleeper today. So let's start with we'll start with the Oakland Athletics and my New York Yankees. Yankees, big favorite in this game. Let's see, -190, lowest price I could find on them. FanDuel and BetMGM have them at -190 here. JP Sears making his second start of 2022 for the Yankees. The kid's pretty good. I mean, he had 10+ K per 9 in the minors, which is pretty good. He was 8-1 in AAA over the last 2 years. I think he had a start or 2 earlier in the year, so it's definitely not his first start of the year. Yeah, not bad. Not a bad young pitcher there. And then you have a really good young pitcher going up for the A's on the other side, and Frankie Montas as well. So again, the Yankees are a big favorite at -190 here. Wasn't really anything that stood out for me in the player prop market in this game. I respect both of these pitchers. I didn't want to take any of the pitching props, though. I didn't think any of them were that great. The Montas over strikeouts wasn't bad, but it was already juiced up, and I feel like that number is just going to keep climbing today. So, if you got it at the open, maybe that was worth it, but I don't know if I would chase it at this point right here. But yeah, not too much in this game that I like. If you want to be on the A side of it, +175 on Caesars, best place to play that. A lot of +155 to 165 in the market there. And again, the Yankees -190 FanDuel, BetMGM best price there. You can get it, minus 195, 200 on the other books, but that minus 190 best number there for the Yankees. Next game up, we have the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Good pitching matchup here. Zach Wheeler going up against Charlie Morton. Let's see. Philly is a slight favorite here, not a big favorite. Minus 113 on Sugar House, and Bet Rivers is the best price you can get it. They're basically minus 120 or below everywhere, though. So, you save a couple basis points there, but not a lot overall. If you want to be on the Atlanta side, if you want to take Charlie Morton in this matchup against Wheeler, you can get even money on him. FanDuel, PointsBet, and Caesars all have this over at even money. I really like the Zach Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts here, though. Looking at some of the books right now, minus 140 on BetMGM, Unibet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers, the best price for Zach Wheeler there. It's minus 150 on DK and Caesars. FanDuel already has it up to 7.5 strikeouts, although at plus money, it's like plus 115, but still, they bumped it up to 7.5 from 6.5. Sleeper has it at 6.5. I like it to play it on Sleeper over 6.5 strikeouts here for Zach Wheeler. Again, minus 140, minus 150 is what the books have this at. So that's a good price that I think we can take a look at. The next game up is the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Washington Nationals. Two formerly good left-handed pitchers, but neither one of them really pitching well right now. Jose Quintana for the Pirates, Patrick Corbin for the Nationals right here. I'm actually a little more interested in some of the bats here than I am in the pitching, and that's the way it's going to be. When we have some good pitching, then I'm going to be looking at some of the strikeout props and maybe some of those numbers. When we have bad pitching, that's when I'm going to be looking at some of the hitters, and I think this is one of those games where we can here right now. So let's see. Pirates, Nationals, slight favorite, minus 115. Best price, Unibet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers, minus 120, minus 125 on all the other, the major books, the FanDuels, DraftKings, BetMGMs. That's where you can get a better price on the Pittsburgh Pirates. DraftKings, MGM, PointsBet, Caesars all have the Pirates at plus 105, FanDuel at plus 102. The other sites have them at even money. So again, DraftKings, MGM, PointsBet, Caesars, if you want to play the Pirates. I do actually prefer the national side of this, even though Corbin hasn't been great. Minus 115 on Unibet, best place to play that. The player props that I'm looking at here, again, Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz facing a left-handed pitcher, death taxes, and Nelson Cruz against a lefty. I like Nelson Cruz to hit a home run here. Plus 430 on Sugar House, Bet Rivers, and Unibet. And one of the reasons why I like it is, again, you guys know I think FanDuel is one of the sharpest books out there when it comes to props. FanDuel and PointsBet have this at plus 320. Sugar House, Bet Rivers, and Unibet have Nelson Cruz to hit a home run at plus 430. I would much rather play this at the plus 430 and kind of avoid that plus 320. But I think we're getting about 110 basis points worth of value over where it should be if that's where FanDuel has it here. So Nelson Cruz to go yard plus 430. Not something you play on Sleeper. This is something that you make a straight up bet on over at one of the sports books here today. Other thing I like in this game is going to be Juan Soto over 0.5 singles. This is even money on DraftKings right now. So this is another one that's not really a sleeper play. Like the Zach Wheeler at minus 140, minus 150, that's a sleeper play. That's one we're going to play on Sleeper. These, Nelson Cruz plus 430, and then this one, Juan Soto over 0.5 singles at even money on DraftKings. These are straight up bets that I'm going to be looking to make on the sports books here today. I just think the even money on Soto makes no sense. I would have thought he would be at least minus 120, if not a little bit longer than that. So to see him at even money, I think that's a really good price. I'm going to play Juan Soto over 0.5 singles at even money. Next game up, the Red Sox against the Blue Jays. We got Michael Wacha going up against Ross Stripling here. Let's see. We got the Toronto Blue Jays are actually favored in this game. Minus 140, which is a pretty decent sized number. That's not an insignificant number there. You can get the Red Sox minus 140. That is on, let's see, DraftKings, MGM, and PointsBet. You can get the Red Sox at plus 120. Plus 123 on Unibet, Bet Rivers, and Sugar House is actually the best place to play them. And that's actually where I would like to play them here. I do think that, the Red Sox are at least worth a bet at plus 123, even on the road here. With that being said, though, I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm not a huge fan of either one of these pitchers right now. I actually like the over on Michael Wacha to give up over 2.5 earned runs here. Minus 135 on DraftKings, all the way up to minus 143 on Caesars. I think we got a little bit of value there over on the Sleeper app. Not something I would make a straight up bet on here today. Couple guys I'm looking at with Wacha expected to give up some runs. A couple guys that I'm looking at here. George Springer over 0.5 runs scored. It's minus 125 to minus 135 out there on the books. This is one I would consider on the sleeper app. Again, if you like the Michael Wacha over 2.5 earned runs, obviously George Springer scoring over 0.5 runs should also be something with a little correlation there. Anytime you do make a correlation play on sleeper, though, just remember it pays a little bit less than if you pick, two different things from two different games. A lot of people don't realize that until you get the payout, but, definitely make sure you take a look at that before you make the play. But again, like I said, I don't expect this to be a Blue Jays win. I actually don't like Vlad Guerrero for over 1.5 total bases here today. I think I don't think it's the greatest pitching matchup for him, although I think he can hit Wacha. It's not like I don't think he can. But I don't think it's the greatest pitching matchup for him to go deep here today. I also think that they may walk him and pitch around him a little bit here. Under 1.5 total bases, minus 140 on DraftKings, minus 145 on BetMGM. I mean, listen, those are not insignificant numbers. Minus 140, minus 145. That is very juiced up. That means a lot of the books and a lot of the bettors also agree that the under is probably the better way to play it. You could get over 1.5 at plus money here, which again tells us that it's less than 50% likely to happen. So I do like Vlad Guerrero under 1.5 total bases here today. Next game, we can talk about the Houston Astros and the New York Mets. Framber Valdez going up against Carlos Carrasco. This game it's confused the hell out of me right now. Carrasco has a 4.42 ERA, a 1.29 whip. Again, not horrible, but not good either. But for some reason, the odds favor Carrasco to be under 2.5 earned runs, and the odds favor avoiding the Houston bats here today. So the question I really have is I don't really agree, but I can't pull the trigger to go again. I feel like Houston's going to get some runs here against Carlos Carrasco. But again, the numbers are pretty strongly in favor of Carrasco giving up under 2.5 runs, I guess because the game is at home in Citi Field, which isn't really known as a hitter's ballpark. But the odds do favor him going under that 2.5 there. And the other thing too is, you look at some of these Houston hitters. If Houston was in a spot where they were gonna smash, you're not getting any of these guys at minus 110, minus 115. And a lot of these guys are minus 110, minus 115 for over 0.5 singles or, over 1.5 total bases. In situations where teams are going to smash, those numbers are a minimum 135, 140, if not higher. So, yeah, I mean, I guess bettors are kind of agreeing. It just doesn't set up. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something here. If Carlos Carrasco gets rocked today, I'm not going to be shocked at all. But it kind of holds me against him, the fact that some of these numbers are looking so good from the sports books and the what the bettors have been putting in here early on. So I'm avoiding the Houston bats. I'm avoiding Carlos Carrasco. I'm just kind of avoiding this game altogether, really. If you wanted to bet on this game, though, Houston is favored on the road with Framber Valdez on the mound. Minus 118 for the Houston Astros is the best price on FanDuel. You can get the Mets at plus 105 on Unibet Bet Rivers Sugar House if you're interested in going over there. Next game up, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Brandon Woodruff making his first start off of the IR. Threw 74 pitches in his minor league rehab start last time out, which makes sense here of why we can't really find a lot of Brandon Woodruff props. I was like, oh, maybe I'll play the under because I don't think he's going to go 100 pitches here. I don't think he's going to get close to it, to be honest. I think they'll take him out somewhere around 85, 90 at most, probably. Because, again, he only threw 74 in his last outing. He is coming back off an injury. He was rehabbing. So, this is the kind of game where you normally see a guy like this go maybe 5, throw 85 pitches or so, and then, get pitch hit 4 and get pulled out of the game. So I'm kind of avoiding a lot of the Milwaukee props there because of that reason. One thing I do like, though, he's going up against Shane Baz on the other side. I like the under in 5.5 Ks on Shane Baz. Minus 135, Sugar House, Unibet, Bet Rivers. Wouldn't play it on the sports books. Definitely like it, though, over on Sleeper. Minus 140 DraftKings, minus 145 BetMGM. So, again, this is something that they're looking at. It's very likely to happen. At minus 140, minus 145, we're talking, 60% chance of happening somewhere around there. So Shane Baz under 5.5 strikeouts. I just think that's too much. Again, probably the way that I'd play it would be over on Sleeper. The one other thing I am looking at here in this game, I do like Christian Yelich over 0.5 runs. It's minus 108 on Caesars and plus 104 on Unibet. So I don't think this should be at plus money. I thought the minus 108, minus 105, minus 110 was probably where it should be. So I do think we're getting value on this on Unibet at plus 104. So Christian Yelich to score a run or over 0.5 runs. I forget exactly how every book has it listed a little different, but it's basically the same thing. Over 0.5 and the score a run is, obviously the same. So 104 on Unibet. I like that Christian Yelich one a lot. The next game up would be Minnesota and Cleveland. Remember, we kind of avoided that because it's a doubleheader. We don't know who's going to be playing and which leg of it, so we don't really want to chase that there. So we're going to skip that game for now. Miami and St. Louis, the next one up. Braxton Garrett on the mound versus Dakota Hudson. Neither one of these guys are really all that good. Garrett's got a 1.70 whip, so was looking for some bats to take against him. We'll talk about the one that I like the most in a minute. Dakota Hudson is a guy who just hasn't been good lately. I mean, last game, he went 4.1 in, 4 1/3, I think. The game before that, he went 5. He threw like around 90 pitches in both of those starts. So if it takes you, 90 pitches to go 4 or 5 innings, it doesn't give me a lot of faith in it. And under 15.5 outs for him right here is juiced way up to -140 on BetMGM and Caesars. So that's something we could play over on the sleeper app as well. I wouldn't really play it on the sports books at -140, but definitely think there's value. I mean, it's -140 says it's like 60% likely to happen. So definitely one I think we have some value on over at sleeper. Dakota Hudson under 15.5 outs. So again, with Braxton Garrett having a 1.7 whip, I really like Tommy Edman over 0.5 singles. It's -125 on DraftKings, -130 on MGM, -133 on Caesars. I think you can play this straight up on DraftKings at -125. Tommy Edman over 0.5 singles. I don't mind it on sleeper, but I think there's some better ones that we could have there on sleeper. But again, if you want to use it on sleeper, I do like this one a lot here today. Next game up, Cincinnati Reds versus the Chicago Cubs. Cincinnati is basically even money on the road. The Cubs are actually favored in this game, and I don't disagree with it. Keegan Thompson is on the mound for them, and he's been pretty good. 3.10 ERA, 1.15 whip. Again, if Chicago was the dog, I probably would have bet Chicago here today. But, again, you don't want to bet. The Chicago Cubs are a bad team. You don't want to bet a bad team as a favorite, even if they are home, even if they do have the advantage. It's, there's just no value in doing that there. On the other side for Cincinnati, Luis Castillo. Listen, Castillo has a low whip and he still walks a lot of guys. So the fact that he has a low whip and walks a lot of guys means he really does not give up a lot of hits. So the thing I was looking to do with this Cubs team is find some guys that we can play the under on some of their hits and get some good value at. And there's 2 guys in particular that I'm really interested in. So let's see here. The Cubs are -118 on FanDuel and Bet Rivers if you want to play them there. But what I'm looking at here, Christopher Morel from the Chicago Cubs, under 0.5 singles, -140 on DraftKings, -145 on BetMGM and Caesars. So I like the under 1 single for him there. And then the same thing, under 1 single for Alfonso Rivas, the first baseman, -165 on DraftKings and BetMGM. This is one of the highest numbers we have on the day for Alfonso Rivas to be under 0.5 singles. 165 DraftKings, 165 MGM, Caesars 159. So again, this is going to be one of my favorite plays, not on the sports books with those odds, but definitely over on sleeper, because you're talking like a 65 to almost a 70% chance of the likelihood based on the odds that this will happen. So Alfonso Rivas under 0.5 singles, we like a lot. Texas Rangers, Kansas City Royals, John Gray against Jonathan Heasley in this matchup here. Let's see. John Gray, 4.5 strikeouts. I like that, but it was bet up to -150, and it's not available on sleeper, so we're not even going to talk about that one there. But I did like the John Gray over 4.5 strikeouts, although again, I don't think you can play it at -150. I like Jonathan Heasley over 3.5 strikeouts, though. That is also -150 on Unibet right now, but on sleeper app we can get it at over 3.5. So the fact that it's -150, I think is interesting. It's -135 on FanDuel. Again, a very sharp book, -145 on DraftKings. But the place that I'm going to play this, I'm going to play it on sleeper, Jonathan Heasley over 3.5 strikeouts. But MGM has the same thing at -120. Now, again, this is -135 FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars -145, -150, Unibet. So -120 on BetMGM is 15 to 30 basis points below where everybody else in the market has it. And I do project him to go over. So Jonathan Heasley, -120, BetMGM over 3.5 Ks. And I do think you can use this on sleeper. I do like one bat in this game, Corey Seager to get a single. So over 0.5 singles for him. It's only minus 120 on DK. I think it's playable on the sports books at minus 120. It's minus 125 at BetMGM, minus 127 at Caesars. I think you could play it on the sleeper over under game today too, but I do like it a little bit better to just play this one straight up as a bet over on DraftKings. Next one up, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies. Clayton Kershaw is on the mound against Kyle Freeland. This game wasn't on sleeper, or if it was, I didn't see it on sleeper for some reason. But I do love Kershaw here as a big favorite. I mean, he's what, like minus two? Oh, you know what? You can get Kershaw as low as minus 213 on Caesars. I think that's actually playable there. 215 on DraftKings and FanDuel. I mean, it's as high as like 225, 230 on all the other books. So to get it at 213 on Caesars, that's a pretty interesting number there on Clayton Kershaw. I mean, listen, the Dodgers had complete game shutout against Chad Cole yesterday. Like that's not good. But you figure they're going to bounce back. This team is just too good. There's too much offense on that team for them to have bad days 2 days in a row, especially when a game is at Coors Field in Colorado. I mean, this is a place where you expect teams to just go off and put up like, 8 to 10 runs. And they got shut out yesterday, which was very strange. So obviously nobody was thinking that was the way it's going to happen. I don't think it's the way it's going to happen here again. That would be 2 days in a row, which would make 0 sense overall. But then again, a lot of things in the universe make 0 sense. So maybe it does happen, but I would rather be on the Dodger side of this. I don't think laying 213 is too many points to be asked for Kershaw. I think this should be 230, 240 at least. So there is some value there. Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Angels. Next game up, we got what do we got? We got Chase Sisseth, 4.96 ERA, 1.47 WHIP, and obviously I can't pronounce his last name. Johnny Cueto is on the mound for the Chicago White Sox here. Chase Silseth, there you go, Silseth, and 4 starts, has only gone 16.1 innings total, has not going deep into the game. Like I said, the ERA is around 5, the WHIP's around 1.5. Not really good. I looked at a lot of the Chicago White Sox guys, though, and I didn't really find any numbers that were popping out to me. So I don't have any bets on that side. The only thing I am taking here, let's see, we got Mike Trout over 1.5 total bases against Johnny Cueto, minus 125 on DraftKings and BetMGM. Obviously, I do like that. Mike Trout, minus 125. I think that's just a little bit too low. That number should be more like minus 135. Let's see. We got the Detroit Tigers and the San Francisco Giants, the next game up. Tariq Skubal against Carlos Rodon. Let's see. Last 3 starts for Skubal. He's only gone about 5 innings pitched once. And he's given up more than 1 run per inning in the last 3 starts. Now, he had some good starts before that, but he does seem to be falling apart here. So I do think San Francisco is a very good, deserving favorite. I actually think there's even value on them. Let's see, BetMGM minus 190 right now. Everybody else has this at like minus 200, minus 205. So I do like that minus 190 number over at BetMGM. On the other side, Detroit Tigers plus 175 on Caesars. If you're interested, trends all the way down to plus 155 on BetMGM, where they have the Giants at minus 190. But really, if you're going to be on any side here, I think you want to be on the Giants. And the reason is Carlos Rodon, right? So there are really no props up on sleeper for this game yet. I'm not sure why. But either way, Carlos Rodon on the mound, over 7.5 Ks, minus 139 Caesars, minus 140 BetMGM, minus 152 on FanDuel. In his last 3 starts, he's had 10, 8, and 8 strikeouts. So over 7.5 in all 3 of his last 3 starts. Good matchup here against the Detroit team. So, Carlos Rodon at minus 190, I think is a massive favorite. And I also like him to go over 7.5 strikeouts. Again, at minus 140, minus 150, one of the better bets we have overall on the day on a guy like Carlos Rodon. So very interesting there. The game is in San Francisco, very good pitcher's ballpark. Like I said, I think Carlos Rodon goes out there and just dominates this Detroit Tigers team here today. Minus 190, good price to play him. Over 7.5 Ks, something that we're going to talk about here again in a minute. San Diego Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks. Good pitching matchup here. Sean Manaea against Zach Gallen. Again, Manaea 1.15 WHIP this year. Under 5.5 strikeouts, though, is what I'm looking at here for him. Minus 134 on Sugar House and Bet Rivers. Minus 140 on Bet MGM. This is not really the best strikeout matchup for him overall. And 5.5 is not an insignificant number. This isn't like a 10K guy who normally goes real deep into games. This is a guy who he does work the counts. He does have some strikeout stuff. He is pretty lights out against lefties. But, I do think that Arizona can give him a little bit of trouble here today. So I'm not interested in that. What I do like, though, a lot is Zach Gallen on the other side. I mean, the guy's got a 1.00 whip so far on the season, under 2.5 earned runs, minus 130 on DraftKings, minus 135 BetMGM, minus 137 Caesars. I like that under 2.5 earned runs for Zach Gallen here quite a bit today. So that's actually probably my favorite play in this game. I like that more than any of the stuff we talked about with Sean Manaea. So, for me, it's Zach Gallen under 2.5 earned runs, and I would rather play this on Sleeper than anywhere else. And that brings us to our last game. We got the Baltimore Orioles and the Seattle Mariners here. Robbie Ray on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Dean Kremer on the mound for Baltimore. Kremer has been solid so far this year, but the underlying stats aren't that great. It looks like he's due to get a little bit of regression here. So I'm looking at a couple of the guys on Seattle. I like Jesse Winker to score a run here today. I really like the price on it is the reason why. You can get this at plus 110 over on, I think it was Caesars I took this on. So I love Jesse Winker to score a run at plus 110. The other thing I really like is Justin Upton over 0.5 total bases. Only minus 130 on DraftKings, and it's over 0.5 total bases. So anything, a single, a double, a triple, it's not 1.5, it's 0.5, which for minus 130, that number just seemed way too low there. I would have thought at least minus 150, if not minus 170. The 1.5 I thought would have been somewhere around like minus 110, minus 115. So very interesting to see him at 0.5 total bases. That's why I took it. Justin Upton minus 130 on DraftKings. So that brings us back to what we always do to end the show here today, and that is going to be the sleeper play of the day. So remember, get down to the description of this podcast, click on that link, sleeper.com/FTNBets, get you into our group chat, and makes you eligible for the $100 deposit bonus match up to $100. What I tell everybody, if you can afford it, put the $100 in, get the free $100, get the max bonus money they're going to give you. And here's how I'd play it today. I would take that $200 and I would put it on Alfonso Rivas under 0.5 singles. Again, 165 on DraftKings, BetMGM, something that is like a 60 to 70% chance of happening according to the odds. And then the other one is Carlos Rodon over 7.5 Ks, something he's done in each of his last 3 starts, minus 152 on FanDuel, one of the sharpest books out there. So they're giving this a 60% likelihood of happening. 2 things with a 60 to 70% chance of happening. That's a good way for us to make some money over there, especially when we're getting a payout of 2 to 1 on our money when we put it in, and we're getting bonus money. So you put $100 out of pocket, you get that $100 bonus. You have $200. You put it on Alfonso Rivas under 0.5 singles and Carlos Rodon over 7.5 strikeouts. And if both of those things hit, you're going to end up with $600 in your account, turn $100 into $600 plus 500 profit, and a really nice little day for you there. So that is my sleeper play of the day here on the FTN Betscast. Good luck today, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.